Surprise, surprise, I am back. And I actually have a project with lace. Um, I have had a little talk with my husband, and he said I probably should say if you were looking for a planner video, I'll be doing more videos later this week and maybe into next week about my planner stuff. And so don't go away, there's more to come. But for those of you who have followed me in because of your interest in my lace projects, this one's for you. So, what I want to do today is to show you first of all, if I can find it, because I've been playing, my finished pillow. And simply all I did was adhere those three roses over in this corner, leaving the pocket open. Simple, easy, just finished it off. I really wasn't quite sure at the time the placement of what I was going to do with these roses, and y'all helped me with that. So thank y'all, all of y'all who helped me decide on how to do that. So there's that little piece finished. I decided not to do another pillow right away, although I really was going to. I just don't know what I did with the form that I made for the other pillow. It's been a while, and things kind of get moved around. And anyway, I decided I'm going to do this instead. I wanted something to get me back into my laces. I wanted to play some more and definitely do another video. So what I've done is I took a snapshot on my camera of the placement of stuff that I kind of have in mind for this little wall hanging. Because if I remove stuff off of here and I forget what I had thought of, it won't go back. It'll be totally different and I'll get flustered. So I'm going to take a lot of this off, and but you'll have an idea of what it's supposed to look like when I do get finished. All I did was I kind of got out all my laces and stuff so that I could figure out what I wanted where. Hopefully that photograph turned out. But let me show you what I started with. And it's not perfect. It's just, snipped out real quick. And I just go from there. Started with this is from Christy Repassi. I hope I said that right. I follow her on Facebook. And she has these gorgeous paintings that she has done. And she shares these on Facebook. So I don't do these for profit at all. I just give these to the ladies in the Helen Ministry that have cancer. And so this is a Bible verse from Philippians 4:8. Whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. That's an important verse for me personally. So anyway, I decided to use that one. When you're looking at stuff that's hard, to remember to look at these things is the main thing. Always looking to Jesus on that. The florals on here were gorgeous, and I wanted to bring a lot of the floral parts into what I was doing. A dear friend gave me this fabric and these appliques, and so I was wanting to use these, the cameo too. I was wanting to use these in this wall hanging, and so I got to playing, like I said, and so this is what I've come up with. I've cut this piece. I don't know if it's called damask or however you pronounce it, but it was so gorgeous. And as you can see, there's a little bit of a yellowy ivory color in this back in the flowers and the florals here, that I thought this would make a perfect background for that. Just a piece of felt. I eyeballed it, y'all. It's kind of like the shape of a piece of printer paper, so 8.5 by 11 roughly, and that's what I'm going to start with. I did pull out a bunch of laces. I have these flowers left over from just making flowers. So y'all saw that I was going to put those over on one side. And then I have this gorgeous ribbon. It's a, I think it's a silk. I am not 100%, but I'm going to go with that because I just don't know. And I do know it has age on it. It's a vintage piece. And I thought that these appliques around this gorgeous cameo on top of that beautiful piece there would be neat, hanging off on one side to that side with the roses on this side. And then at the bottom, I wanted to use a piece of tassel trim. On top of it, I have this ribbon that I almost used in the other on the pillow, and I think I'm going to put it across the bottom, maybe like that. Who knows, I may even put a piece of lace above that, but that's kind of how I'm going to start. And one of the first things I need to do is to take my image and adhere it to a piece of felt. I'm not going to pat it, I don't think. No, I don't think I'm going to. I'm going to leave it flat. And then I'm going to decorate around the edges of it. But I wanted it to have this white felt behind it because I wanted those words to really be able to be seen. If I had left it on top of this ivory colored piece, it kind of blends it in on that background. So this makes it a little easier to see. So I'm going to start with adhering that. And then I'm going to adhere this cloth front piece to that. And you know, I don't know if I'm looking at this on the wrong side or the right side. Y'all may have to clue me in on that, but I'm going with this side up because I think it's just fine that way. I'm going to just go ahead and tack this on since it's the first piece down. And I'm just going to give it a little bit of adhesive hot glue to hold it in place. And I loved this design. I wanted it to be centered, so I was careful how I cut it so that it would center on there. And there is no rhyme or reason to my gluing. It's just going to go where it's going to go. And then that'll make a good background. I might be able to hear my husband. He's on the phone upstairs, so he doesn't even know I'm making a video right now. If y'all hear him, you know, he's going to probably get off the phone in a little bit and start searching for me. He's been on the phone for a couple of hours. And we actually have service right now. I figured out how to do that, by the way, through my Wi-Fi. And go figure. Whoops, I already glued that side. I did not know that. We have had a problem up in the mountains here getting phone calls for ever since we moved in until fall when all the leaves fell off the trees. And I found a setting, now that we have Wi-Fi, I found a setting on my phone that I can actually set it up to do calls through Wi-Fi. Yippee skippy. So now we can start calling and getting calls. We haven't been able to, we've had all kinds of problems with that. I've been gone a long time, and I apologize. This has been a really hard year for me, health-wise. I have had multiple colds, just getting over another one that was back-to-back. I never can seem to get rid of a cough, so if I cough, please forgive me. I hate coughing in the middle of a video, but sometimes you just got to do it. I'm looking right now for what I'm going to edge this piece with, and I'm going to keep it pretty simple. There's the pink. I want to use a little bit of the shiny pink, but first I want to use something that has a pretty edge to it. A bit of a lace, maybe. I have to pulled this one out. I wasn't sure if I was going to use it or not. But because I'm doing square and not a curve, I think that'll look cute. And then that can just go right on that. Let's see how it looks with this color. Didn't push it down hard enough. A little more. Just better check. Wasn't sure my glue gun was even hot when I started, so yeah, that's okay. Let's see. And then color, that's another thing. Because I'm using an ivory background, I either need to go a little darker or a little lighter so that that lace piece will show up. And that's beautiful, but it's just not the right shade that I want to use. And that's not going to work on top of that one. If I go much lighter, it's going to look too white, and I really don't want to accent the white. So here I thought I had it all set out and ready to go. Let me see if I can go a little darker, and that might look pretty. Yeah, I think that'll look good. But if I do that, then I don't think that'll work around it. See? Always, always. I wish I could hear y'all, because I know y'all are going, what about that piece? Or what about that piece? You know, I need you to talk to me. I wish you could. How dark do I want to take that? Well, why not? It's not too bad. It's got hearts. I like that too. Let's try this one, y'all. If I put this around it, and see, I'm always looking front and back to make sure I've got the front or the back, just which, you know. And then put some of the pink. I was thinking of the pink next. I call this a soutache. I don't know if that's really what it is called. But what if I did something like that? Excuse me. Here we go. I like that because I like the hearts. And I almost want to put something white behind that, or lighter colored behind that. I wonder if that's too light. Y'all wonder why I have a messy desk, because I'm constantly pulling stuff out. And I don't pick up very well after myself. That's not bad. I could put that behind that since it's so narrow. So if I put that behind, that's really sweet. Put that in front, and then put that one on. What do you think? I like it. I think that's sweet. I'm going to do that. Okay, so I've used the ivory piece to decide if I wanted it or not. So that will be plenty. I'm going to start on the back side, and I am going to try to do this all the way around. So back side, that's my top. So I'm going to start by finding the front of this. And I really need to be sure that I'm seeing it right. I think that's the back. And that's the front, and it looks prettier. The threads look a little shinier on that side. Okay, now see where I'm going to start. Let's see if I've really got enough. I'm probably going to have to go to that. Oh yeah, there's plenty. Alright, that's the front and that's the back. I'm going to start this on the big circles, not the little circles. So I'm going to cut that little circle off. And I'm going to put it on like this. Am I going to get that to work? One good thing about gluing it is you can actually manipulate a lace or a trim or whatever to kind of fit. So I'm going to go with 4 of these little circles on this side. And one thing I might do is right here in the center, because I can always put an embellishment. And since the front of it, everything is centered on the front, I'll embellish. Well, I may want to embellish it like toward the side. I'm going to have that here. If I do that and I want this to fit, I may pinch that over just a smidge, but then again it would be real noticeable that it's not. I think what I'm going to do is pull a Michelle Pipeling. She did this on her videos and it was genius. Just a bit of a arc at the top. I'm going to do that here because that will make this piece fit perfectly. Ta-da! Love it. Okay, glue. I just put a dab all the way across and a real thin bit there and lay the lace right on top of the glue. Isn't that sweet? Yeah, that's going to turn out really sweet. I'm so glad she showed us how to do that a long time ago. I miss you, Michelle. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing. Am I? Should I just leave it at the top? Because I'm going to have a number of things going on. Okay, I'm trying to think out loud so y'all know what I'm doing or thinking. Where's this piece? So if I come along the sides here, I could still and will take it across the top. So do I want that white lace on all the sides or just at the top? Because that is really sweet. And across the top I had this. And that's the wrong direction. Which I might be doing next. And it needs something behind it going up. I hope I have something handy. So that'll go across there. That'll go there. Right side up. So we are in, of course, the northeastern part of Tennessee. And in the mountains, up some elevation here. Not too high, but we have cool nights, thankfully, and cool days. Right now, considering that I'm from Texas, 87 is cool. But we've had some days that are only in the 70s. And that is fabulous. Just totally, that's why we moved here. Y'all aren't telling me what to do. Oh, I need y'all here to help me. Okay, maybe I should just go ahead. Our air conditioner went out a week or two ago again, ever since we've moved here. The air conditioner keeps going out, and they keep saying it's not our problem. You should have done this too. Well, we bought the insurance so that y'all would take care of the problem, but they haven't. And so I hate fighting that insurance company anymore. First American Home, by the way. I'm sure some of you have had that in the past and have had good luck with it, but we have not. So, on them. Not happy camper with them. We should have had a new or something unit put in, and they won't. It keeps breaking. This is like the fourth or fifth time I've had to call them in the less than 2 years that we've lived here, so that's ridiculous. We just go without so often now that, oh, that's the right side here. Mess up. Okay. It may be foo-foo. Is that I almost said flu-flu. I think it might be foo-foo, but I am going to go ahead and do it all the way around because it's just so pretty. Okay, I'm sorry that took so long, but I really don't want to mess up by doing something that is not going to look good. I'm going to do the bottom next. And when it rains, it pours. So, with me having colds, it's not allergies, it's just I keep getting sick and sore throat, going through the whole business, the whole 2 weeks of being sick, and then coughing for a couple of weeks after that. So, to me, that's a cold. And, been really, really exhausted from that. Don't get much sleep, neither does my husband. But I think I'm on the mend enough now to hopefully get some strength back. But on top of all of that, this is something important that I want to share with every single woman of you who is watching. I want you all to pay attention, please. I am the type of person who, unless I'm on my deathbed, pretty much, I'm not going to go to the doctor just because I have a cold. And so I did not go to the doctor just because I got sick again. I just, took whatever plop, flop, fizz, fizz, the nighttime thing, and made it where I could get some sleep, some rest, right? Well, as soon as cold number 2 for the year, because one was back early in the year, then the summer cold started up. As soon as the first summer cold started up, as soon as it finished, I realized that I was having pain in my midsection over on my right side, which I've had before, and it was a kidney stone. And as soon as that started knocking around and pinging at me and hurting, I knew it was going to be bad news, because I've had that before and I knew it was going to be kidney stone time. So between the second and third cold of this year, I had a kidney stone. And thankfully, last year when I had it in January of last year, I had medicine from the emergency room left over because I am not going to take pain medicine longer than I have pain. So I would go longer and longer between each dose last year to see if I could handle the pain. And as soon as I left the hospital, pretty much, that first day I took it the way they said, but the second day I added a few hours on either side of it and just stretched it all out. And by day 4 of that, I was done with the pain because the stone had passed. Well, this time I did the same thing with the other half of that prescription, and when the stone passed, that was great. I thought, done deal. Another year and a half maybe before I have another one. Well, or maybe, they're gone, hopefully. Well, then I got an infection, kidney infection, and I got fevers and chills and the whole thing. And so my husband was kind of like, well, are you finally going to go to the doctor? I don't know if y'all have those kind of conversations, because my husband's as bullheaded as me. Or maybe I'm as bullheaded as he is. I don't know which is which. So I did. I went to the doctor. And this is the part I want y'all to hear. I had this infection. I went to the doctor. She gave me the right meds to fix it, right? While I was there, and this is the first time I'd been to this particular doctor. Since we've moved here, I haven't been to anybody specifically other than my diabetic doctor. And this doctor, she said, we hit it off great. I liked her a whole lot. And she asked, and she said, when was the last time you had a mammogram? And I said, oh, it's probably been, 10 years. Oh, well, we have the unit right here on this premises. Why don't you just make an appointment on your way out? And then they'll get you in probably next week. I said, all right. Well, I went. Now, here's the stuff that's been going on. I went and had a mammogram. I pretty much assumed that my mammograms are going to come back a little bit abnormal. So that didn't bother me. I kind of expected that phone call, right? So I get this phone call, we need to see you again. We're going to schedule you for another appointment. Fine. And so I go in and have more testing done. But it's testing that I have never had before. I did not know they did sonograms back 10 years ago, or 11 actually is what it turned out to be. When I had my previous ones back in Texas, they didn't do a sonogram. Just like a Doppler sonogram like they would do on your pregnant, if you're pregnant and on the baby. Like they did back then. And I was like, oh, y'all gonna do that? And so, they don't tell me much. And so I had to have that done. And so, of course, I started getting scared because I was like, well, why are they doing this extra test? Well, it's not, it is extra, but it's not abnormal to have that done the second time you go in. Oh, well, that felt better. Well, I waited and waited for those results, and it wasn't very long, and they said, we need you to go in and have a biopsy. I've never had a biopsy. Well, I did. I didn't want to because I've heard all these kind of, words. Metastasize is one of them. I was assured that the type of breast cancers that there are don't metastasize. Oh, well, I'm certainly hopeful that that's the case if I have cancer. Because that's the next thing. After that, you wait, which I just had it last week, a week ago. So I just had the biopsy. It was not as hideous as I had been afraid that it would be. So go ahead and have the biopsy. I even called the insurance company to see if I could skip that part and go straight for lumpectomy. If they thought something was weird, just take it out, No, we have to have the biopsy. Good night, nurse. That cost a fortune, but it needed to be done. I have an insurance through the government, and yet they don't pay all of it. They pay 75%, and I pay 25%. I had to pay close to $2,000 out of pocket that day for the biopsy. But I boo-hooed the whole time because beforehand, when I found out about it, it was going to cost that much. Because I'm like, how can anybody afford to have a biopsy if they want you to pay $2,000 for it just because that's what your insurance company won't pay? I don't know how anybody can come up with that kind of money. We were scrambling around trying to get that. And now, those results are back. And praise the Lord, I don't have cancer, but I do have atypical cells. I have let's see if I can come up with it. I have atypical ductal hyperplasia. Ductal is just where it's located in the ducts. Atypical means not normal. And then hyper is quick growing plasia, which are the cells. And around the interior of the duct, there are normal cells that line the interior of the duct. Those are normal. What is the atypical and hyper part of it is there's extra cells that are growing at a fast rate. They are not cancerous, the ones they biopsied, but it's possible that there are some that could be. Therefore, they wanted to do a lumpectomy. And so that's where I'm sitting now, is waiting for a surgeon's appointment to have a lumpectomy. Now, at this point, it's not large what they're going to take out, and at this point, it's not cancer, but it is atypical. So I understand these things. Here's where I want y'all to hear me is please go get your mammograms. Because if I had waited, I waited 11 years, y'all. If I'd waited any longer and that was cancer, I may be looking at, having major invasive surgery and going through a lot of cancer treatments. I may still have to have that, and don't think I don't know that. I do understand that that may still be, an issue with me. But at this point in time, it has not been found to be so. So, if y'all would pray for me for one thing, I would appreciate it. Second thing, I would really like for y'all to do what I did and go and have that test. Let me check my battery. I'm getting close to the end of what my phone will hold, so let me go to part 2.